welcome to the Crimewatch Roadshow. For the whole of June, we are live from all around the UK. We're bringing Crimewatch to you. And this week, we're in the northwest of England. Rav Wilding is there now. Rav.
Hello, Sophie. Good morning. Yes, I'm at this riding school for disabled children just outside Bolton. You wouldn't believe what happened here. More on that later. But all month for the Crimewatch Roadshow, we're across the country tackling crimes that affect us all, from robbery to burglary, arson to hit and runs. You name it. With your help, we're going to try and solve them.
And Rav, we've already made some good progress.
We're doing all right, actually. Yes, we showed a young hit-and-run victim, Adam O'Toole. We've had a few calls there with a registration number and a possible name for the offender there. And also a lot of our wanted faces are getting calls where we may find them now. So it's all looking pretty encouraging.
Coming up, we have cases from all over the UK, including criminals caught in the act on camera. Can you help us find this betting man? Even though he won some money, you'd think he'd be happy, but he's not. He picks up his takings, and a stool, and smashes up the bookies. You wouldn't want to be around if he lost, would you? And a pub landlord beaten on his way to the bank. Take a look at this. This is the moment thieves made off with thousands of pounds and tried to run down the landlord in the process. It's a really shocking story. But first, Rav is on the case of a charity battling against burglars. Rav.
Yeah, you don't expect thieves to have much of a conscience, but this was a particularly cruel blow for a charity set up to help disabled riders like my friend Molly here. And what they did during the break-in is even more disgusting.
This is Miller's Nook Riding School in West Halton, Bolton. It's a specialist horse riding centre for disabled children, an unlikely scene for a crime, but back in March it was targeted by heartless thieves. Owner Kath Miller has worked hard to build the business.
The riding school has taken 9 years of blood, sweat and tears to get up and running. 90% of our lessons are disabled. When they first come, some of these children and adults can barely walk, but after riding, it's the best physio that they can do. It strengthens all the muscles, torso, legs, the balance, cognitive skills, confidence. It's all aspect of how it helps these people.
For 9-year-old Ella McLeod, who suffers from arthritis, the riding school has been a big part of her life.
I have been coming to the riding school for 2 years.
Right, you ready?
Oh, we do throw you about, don't we?
I like the riding school because you get a pony and you calf it and ride it, and it's really fun.
Shavings in a minute.
Then, in the early evening of March the 1st, thieves struck a blow to the riding school. At the time of the burglary, Kath had popped out.
At 5 o'clock, I'd gone to collect the children from after school.
Kath returned just an hour and a half later.
Didn't get back till 6:30. We knew there was something wrong because the dogs was barking and they was really upset. So we tried coaxing them, but they wouldn't come anywhere near.
Initially, Kath didn't know why her dogs were so upset, until that is, the following morning.
I went to feed the horses in the morning, as we always do. I walked to the tack room. The tack room door had been smashed and the tack room had been absolutely ransacked. They'd taken everything, anything of any value. They'd even taken rugs off the horses' backs. what was left was just strewn everywhere. The yard had been literally ransacked, and 29 specialist saddles had been stolen.
The callous thieves had specifically targeted the saddles needed by the school's disabled riders. In total, they'd made off with £20,000 worth of much-needed equipment.
Coming up, what the thieves did next at the riding stables, and I'll be with the owner, Brian. Someone must know what happened to the rest of these saddles. If that's you, we need you to call. The number I'll give you now is 08000 468 999, or maybe you can text us, but it's 63399. Just type CW, that all-important space, and then your message. Don't forget to leave that space. Back to you, Sophie.
Also coming up on this morning's show, Dave Guest is on the case of some stolen paintings. Dave.
Good morning, Sophie. Yes, this is the home of the Aird family in Cheshire. It was the scene of a violent robbery. The thieves were targeting artworks like these by L.S. Lowry. Now, this is a replica, but the original and others are apparently still out there somewhere. Can you help us find them?
And we will show you how to spot a pickpocket in action.
You can very slowly unzip a handbag and then reach in, and that'll be a method they might use. So they might even unzip it and then leave it for a short while, carry on shopping, come back.
More on that shortly, but right now our wall of most wanted. Here they all are, and they could be hiding near you. First though, keep your eyes peeled. Have you seen any of this lot?
It's December, and these masked men have entered the Thomas Cook travel agents in Hazelmere High Street. They're not after a winter break. Instead, they force staff to open the safe. These men were armed and demanded cash, travellers' checks and foreign currency. At some point after they left, they would have got a nasty surprise. Their stash contained canisters of security dye that would have left them badly stained. There is a reward out for these blokes, so let's catch them. We're on the number 436 bus in London, and this man loses his rag with the driver. There's an argument, which this fella takes way too far. He starts to kick the door to the driver's compartment. Getting nowhere, he clambers over and assaults him. Let's make it the end of the line for this bloke. William Hill bookies last October in South London, and this geezer's just won money. Great! On the other hand, maybe not. After collecting his cash, he loses his cool, picks up a stool and smashes gaming machines and monitors, causing hundreds of pounds worth of damage. You wouldn't want to be around if he'd lost. Call us if you can put a name to this hothead. This bloke's running low on toiletries and decides to restock at this Boots in London's Walworth Road. It's not on the house, mate. He fills his plastic carrier with cosmetics and toiletries before getting clean away. We'd like to sniff him out. Know him, shop him.
If you recognise anyone, please call. The numbers are on your screen right now. Now, Bury Market in North Manchester is one of the oldest and biggest markets in the UK, but it's also getting a reputation for something more sinister. Rav has been on pickpocket patrol there to find out how market thieves operate.
This is Bury Market. It's the largest market in the northwest. With over 500 retailers and 250,000 visitors every week, it's a magnet for shoppers and bargain hunters all over Manchester. But sadly, it's not just shoppers who are after a bargain. A large traditional marketplace like this is also prime hunting ground for a traditional type of criminal, the pickpocket. But how do you protect yourself from a pickpocket? To tell us more about it is entertainer Matt Windsor. So Matt, you're a pickpocketing expert, but as an entertainer.
Correct.
But you know how the mind of a pickpocket works and what they would really go for.
Absolutely. So a place like this where people are busy shopping, there's loads of opportunities.
And what sort of methods would they use to get this then?
Ladies will leave their bags, their handbags unzipped and with their purse on top. That's the perfect opportunity for an opportunistic pickpocket to get within your personal space. For example, I'll give you a demo. It doesn't necessarily need to be quick. So for example, by using a jacket, you can very slowly unzip a handbag and then reach in, and that'll be a method they might use. So they might even unzip it and then leave it for a short while, carry on shopping, come back to it. Another method going to use a bag. Here again, it disguises my actual plan.
So if I'm browsing around
You're
here,
browsing
I'm
there.
gonna look.
It's an odd bit of peculiar body language that a pickpocket uses, but a natural way to hold a bag might be here or in this hand, but they often will hold it with the right hand over the left shoulder to get access to your pockets here. So if you see someone exhibiting that sort of odd body language, then
there could be something sinister in it.
Could be. And then my advice would be just step away, check your pockets, and hopefully you'll be avoiding being a pickpocket.
I mean, from all this, man, what strikes me is it seems that there's a lot of basic, simple precautions that people could take to avoid this happening.
I wouldn't be paranoid, but again, simple things like carrying a bag in front of your shoulder. Guys, with rucksacks, it's a simple thing. Carry your rucksack in front of you. You know.
Manchester Police are so concerned they started a pickpocket patrol. Sergeant Chris Mannion is the man in charge.
We're really looking for people who are carrying their bags and personal belongings in a certain way that we feel would make them vulnerable to an offence, and we basically seek to speak to those people in person and just to educate them and hopefully prevent them from becoming a victim. Just spotted a lady there who's got a bag over her shoulder. I'm just going to have a quick word. Excuse me, I have nothing to panic about. Have you got a minute?
Yeah.
Just to introduce myself, I'm the town centre sergeant. We're suffering quite a number of pickpocket style offences around the town centre, and as such I just thought I'd come over to you exactly and just speak to you about the fact your bag was quite vulnerable, I felt, over your shoulder there. I used to average around 25 offences a day. Since my unit came into being, we're lucky if we really get that many offences a month now, so that's really good when you consider that there are about 250,000 people visit the market each month alone.
And Rav, you've got a really sad story about pickpocketing, haven't you?
I have, Sophie, yeah. I'm here with Rosalind here, who's actually lost her life savings to pickpockets recently. Rosalind, what happened to you?
I went down to the market and took pin money, card out and got pin money out, and went round the market and didn't realise I'd lost, my purse had gone when I got home. Didn't realise it till after tea. And then I just...
They'd have a shopping spree with your card, hadn't they, that they'd taken. And with the greatest respect, Rosalind, it doesn't look like the sort of thing that you'd probably buy. We've got MP3 players, PlayStations, a sat-nav here. We've even got a funny old suitcase, and you haven't bought this.
No, I haven't bought anything like that.
Oh, I'm glad you said you didn't buy that suitcase. It's horrible.
No.
Right, well, let's talk to the officer now who's dealing with your case and see what we can do about this. And this is Darren. Darren, hello there. What do you think happened to Rosalind?
I think Rosalind's crossed the road, used a cash machine. I think somebody's stood over and watched her put a PIN number in. They then followed Rosalind around the market, and at some point they've dipped a bag and took a purse which contained £40 cash and a cash card. And an expensive, a really extensive spending spree, wasn't it? Yeah, it's around £3,500, and they've gone to quite a number of shops even throughout the Manchester area, spending items such as the PlayStation and all sorts of electrical items and goods. And we've got to mention this suitcase here because I know our research team even had trouble finding one of these because it is that unique. So if anyone knows of anything like this, oh, sorry about the phone going off there. Hopefully it's a call about this case. But yeah, it's quite distinctive, isn't it? It looks like that's probably what they've loaded up with all the belongings. That's what we're thinking. They've bought all these items and put them in the suitcase, and they can walk around. Well, let's have a look at this CCTV here because it's the crucial lead that we could have. Have a look at these. It is. These are two females. Both stills from CCTV. Late teens, early 20s. Females of either Asian or Eastern European origin. But they've been caught in throughout. They've been seen in several shops, so you're confident these are the people you need to trace. So if anyone can help and tell us who they think these are, we really need to hear from them. That's Darren, right. Thank you very much.
And you, Rosalind. And if you can help, please get on the phone and give us a call.
Yeah, if you know where you get a suitcase like that from, do let us know. Now, for an update on some of the cases we featured yesterday and on the jewellery burgled from a house in Bolton when the couple were indoors. Bizarrely, several people claim to have seen one of the bracelets auctioned on a television show. Well, police are going to be checking that one out. On Tony and Barton and Sons, the con men distributing gardening leaflets and scamming people out of thousands and thousands of pounds. More potential victims coming forward. We've had reports of these leaflets in Mansfield, Bury, Harrogate, Sunderland. We even had a call as far away as Wimbledon in London. And on the case of 18-year-old Adam O'Toole, we've had a potential name and registration for the man driving the car in that hit and run 2 years ago in Huddersfield. Now, do you know any of our most wanted faces this morning? Here they are. Have a look at all this lot. We've got Greater Manchester Police who would like to speak to this man, Chidozie Wamara, in connection with a serious sexual assault. Wamara was in the UK on a student visa. He attended Bolton University, but hasn't been seen since last summer. He has connections in Eastbourne, Bolton and Leicester. Where's Michael Coop? Coop is wanted in connection with an assault in which a man had a stun gun held and fired to the back of his head. The man collapsed and was then hit with a chain. Next is 32-year-old Kadir Hussain. After committing a robbery, he was sentenced to 5.5 years. He skipped bail and is on the run. Where is he hiding this morning? And police in Lancashire would like to talk to this man, 41-year-old Stephen Brady, who could be in either the Morecambe area or Salford. Well, Brady was convicted of burglary offences but failed to comply with conditions that formed part of his early release. He is now being recalled, but where is he? Call us if you recognise anyone. The numbers are there on your screen right now. Now, let's go back to Rav, who really needs your help with a sexual assault case that happened last year in Dickinson Road Market in Longsight in Manchester. Rav.
Yes, thank you, Sophie. I'm with DC Laura Hughes from Longsight CID on a particularly nasty case. Laura, what's happened?
Basically, the 18-year-old victim, female, was stood on Dickinson Road Market in Longsight on the bank holiday Monday when she was subjected to a serious sexual assault by a male. OK, now we've got some CCTV here that we're going to show, yes,
which we really need to trace this person involved. The first shot of him here, if you can see, is on a camera outside a supermarket. We then get a good look at him as he goes into Stockport Road to the junction of Dickinson Road. He then enters the market, but 10 minutes later he's seen running across Dickinson Road into a nearby housing estate. So this is a crucial lead, isn't it, this person?
Yes, this male is somebody who we are very, very keen to speak to. We do believe he has some information about the incident, and I would urge either the male himself or anyone who recognises this male to give us a call and give us that name.
OK. Now, there's been a couple of developments since this investigation started.
Yes, there has. I can now reveal, it hasn't been released into any media before, but I can actually reveal that we do have a full DNA profile from this incident, so anybody can be easily eliminated.
Now, that is an absolutely crucial point, isn't it? Because if anyone's a little bit worried about phoning in and getting anyone into trouble, that's not going to happen, because you can straight away rule someone out, can't you? Now you've got this full DNA hit.
Yes, completely, and I would urge anybody who has any idea who this could be, anyone that was acting strange around that time, give us a call, search the consciences, and let's help this victim move forward and give us that name.
Can you just remind us when and where this happened for the people at home?
It happened on the 25th of August 2008. It was about 10:30 in the evening, and it was the bank holiday Monday.
So that's important. So it's a bank holiday.
Yes,
lots of people will know when that is.
Hopefully.
All right then, Laura. Well, thank you for joining us.
Thank
you.
And
if you can help, we've heard, we really, really would love to hear from you. The number's there on your screen now. Back to you, Sophie.
Still to come, take a look at this man. What is he up to? He stuffs his jogging bottoms with soap powder before making a clean getaway. Now back to Bolton, where thieves have targeted a riding school for disabled children.
Back in March, Cath's riding school for disabled children was targeted by heartless thieves. In total, they got away with £20,000 worth of specialist equipment.
What was left was just strewn everywhere. The yard had been literally ransacked.
It was bad enough that the saddles had been stolen, but what Cath discovered next was to prove a massive shock. Her dogs Roxy and Rocky were clearly in distress.
Rocky! Rocky!
They didn't come to greet us, they usually do, and we could hear Roxy whimpering at the bottom of the yard. So we went down to find out what was wrong, and they ran. They wouldn't come anywhere near us.
Roxy was limping, and it was clear she'd been badly beaten. Cath and her partner Brian couldn't believe the thieves had stooped so low.
Because normally there was really boisterous, happy dogs. They won't come to the top of the yard now. They run away if anybody comes.
Well, they were rescue dogs to start with, and it took us a long time to get these dogs to trust people. And then with the robbery, obviously they've been hurt, and so that's put back all the hard work we've done with them.
The theft of specialist saddles meant the school's disabled riders were unable to have lessons. For 9-year-old Helen, who suffers from arthritis, the whole thing was very upsetting.
I felt really shocked and sad because they've taken lots of the saddles.
It was a body blow. It was a massive blow when it happened.
When the kids came and they couldn't ride, they was just heartbroken. And then it hits home just how much they rely on the riding. You know, the riding sets them free.
In the months after the theft, the school has been forced to tighten its security.
We are more cautious at the riding school. We've had to change the whole of our routine.
We always had an open house. People could just come down and watch the lessons, look at the horses. We don't sort of just let anybody just walk down now because of obvious reasons that we don't know who we're letting, you know, on the yard. So it spoils it.
Kath and Brian really need your help to catch those responsible.
For anybody that watches this and knows anything about any saddles that have been for sale, that they've purchased a saddle or seen it advertised, if they could contact the programme, we'd much appreciate it.
Well, Rav's with some of the children, watching them, some of the children who use this riding school every day.
So they absolutely love it. You can tell that here live at the riding school. Brian, the kids absolutely love this, but the charity really did take a hit, didn't it, when this happened for the third time?
For the third time. The first and second time it was pure vandalism. The third time it was targeted. They took all the specialist equipment. As you can see, they're enjoying themselves. We couldn't function. We had to shut down.
OK, but a lot of charities have actually helped you out, and local businesses have helped you out recently, haven't they? So at least you can get back up and running to a certain extent.
Yes, we can, and as you can see, they're enjoying themselves. So.
Well, tell me what's so special about these saddles which have been taken.
Well, the sheepskin saddle is purely sensory. It's for the feel for the disabled children. This particular saddle is supportive, front and back. So it's a piece of specialist equipment.
Now, little Molly over there, she would normally use one of these, wouldn't she?
She'd use that one. This is the only one we've got.
Pink.
Yeah, hence the reason that she's being held on twice by people.
So this is Molly here being held by two people, where normally she'd have one of these saddles.
Absolutely.
That's how much it means to them.
It does.
And these are what's taken. All right, Brian, thank you. Let's go and talk to Gareth now, who's the beat manager and the police officer actually dealing with this case. Gareth, have we got any leads?
We haven't got any leads at all. You know, this place, not the first time this place has been targeted. If anyone's got any information at all, has anyone been offered any saddles for sale that have been adapted? Has anyone got any information? Has anyone seen anything on the 9th of March? The place was locked up at 5:15. I believe it may have happened in those 2 hours. I believe it has been targeted.
Very quickly, it does look like they were stolen to order, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. So has anyone been offered any saddles? Does anyone know any whereabouts of these saddles? Have they been modified or anything? Just get in contact with us and follow up any lines of inquiry.
All right, Gareth, thank you very much. And Brian, and if you can help, we've heard it there, please get on the phone and give us a call. Back to you, Sophie.
And Rav, since we've been on air, we have already had some interesting information about those riding saddles, so we'll give you some more on that in a moment. But first, let's check out these crooks caught on CCTV.
Last October in Goswell Road, London, and this cheeky Herbert's about to convince the driver of this delivery van that he's been waiting to receive the goods. How audacious. The driver innocently wheels the stuff into the loading bay, while our man pretends to check them over. He even helps the driver to carry in a large box. What a nice chap. Until he's joined by a mate who's just as helpful. It's not long before their own pickup arrives and the reload begins. They got away with £16,000 worth of computers, and we want to know who they are. If you've been offered any computers on the cheap, let us know. What's going on with this bloke? He enters this BP garage in Camberwell, London, and heads straight for the soap powder section. He stuffs the front of his jogging bottoms with washing tablets and makes a clean getaway. He doesn't leave without a stain on his character. Name, please. It's just before Christmas, and this fella's forgotten his goodwill to all men. He boards this bus and immediately begins to harass other passengers. Before long, he picks on one in particular and makes racist and homophobic remarks. The passenger gets up to leave, but is followed and assaulted on and off the bus. Totally unacceptable. Call now if you can give us a name. It's removal day at this block of flats in Rotherhithe, London. Only the blokes seen here aren't removal men. They're crooks. Once inside, they make sure the coast is clear and begin lifting the furniture. They then get interrupted and scarper. Before long, they're back. Don't forget the bookcase, boys. There you go. Time these three got lifted. So give us a call.
Can you believe it? Now, please let us know if you know anything that could help. Call us 08000 468 999, or you can text us on 63399. Text CW space and then your message. And don't forget to leave the space or your message will not get through. Now, let me just give you that information that we're getting this morning. We have had two separate calls about two similar thefts of riding equipment in other parts of the country. It's not the specialist equipment, not that kind of stuff, but it is riding equipment that has also gone missing. Police are going to be following those two calls up to see if they are in any way connected. And also let us know if you've been offered any riding equipment on the cheap. We would love to hear from you. The story really has obviously touched a chord with a lot of you, because we've already had some very generous offers from public who want to help the riding school, who desperately need that equipment. Now, still to come this morning, the moment thieves made off with pub takings and tried to run down the landlord in the process. It's a really shocking story. Stay with us to find out what happened next. Well, earlier on, Rav was on pickpocket patrol in Bury Market in North Manchester, where thieves are having a field day. Well, Gemma Havard, who works for the Met, has some CCTV of people caught in the act on camera. Hello, Gemma. Now, talk us through what we have here coming up. This is in a pub in South East London, isn't it?
It is, yes, and it's a handbag theft.
This is who we have to keep an eye on, this man
here. The guy here in the suit on the mobile phone. This is the victim, the lady sitting down. Her bag is actually underneath her chair. As you can see, this guy gets closer and closer to her. Completely unbeknownst to her, he's getting ready to steal her handbag.
So he's taking off his jacket. Now what's he going to do?
Yep, he actually places the jacket over his legs, as you can see, to disguise as such what he's doing.
Grabs the bag.
He grabs the bag and
he's
walks
off.
away. He's off.
Neither of them, they don't notice anything.
No, they have not got a clue what's happened.
It's so obvious, isn't it? When you see it, it's so obvious, yet everybody is sitting there, nobody notices a thing.
That's
that
right.
must happen the whole time.
It does. I mean, it happens time and time again, day in, day out. These thefts are occurring all around London, in and around London, really, and we just need to put a stop to it.
We're all too trusting. I lost my purse, years ago. I put my bag on the chair, somebody just dipped in, took my purse out, didn't notice until I'd left the cafe.
Yeah, it happens so quickly. We just need to keep our eyes open, really.
Other than hanging onto your bag, what can you do?
I mean, yeah, hang on to it, but keep it in view as well. Keep it on the table if you can, or next to you on a chair. I mean, if you've not got your eyes on the bag, then I can believe someone else has. Yeah. So be careful.
And this man, I mean, he's really deceptive, isn't he? Because he's there all well-dressed, he's in his suit, people are not really paying any attention.
Yeah, I mean, he's not your sort of stereotypical thief, I suppose. He's, I mean, he looks like a businessman, and he's on his mobile phone chatting away.
And that lady lost a lot of stuff in her bag. Well, Gemma, thank you very much, and we're going to hear from you again next week with some more of your CCTV.
Thank you.
Now, our next case takes us to Swinton in Greater Manchester, and a pub landlord on the way to the bank with the weekly takings. But a group of thugs had other ideas that morning, which would have a lasting impact on him. At this pub in Swinton in January this year, Jonathan Robinson was brutally attacked and left for dead in the car park.
I just kind of looked around and seen there was cars parked there, but there was nothing that seemed out of place.
This CCTV shows the start of an extraordinary series of events. At approximately 10 a.m, a silver Golf waited for almost 2 hours for Jonathan to come out with the weekly takings. As he gets in the car, 3 masked men launch a vicious assault while the other attacker waits in the car.
You never consider that when you step outside your front door that something's going to happen to you then.
Jonathan has been employed as manager of the Golden Lion since July last year.
I would do 90% of the banking. I would still change the days. I was admittedly using the same bank most of the time because it was easy to get into a set routine. That morning I was in the office for about 9:30. Kind of got everything together, wrapped up by about 11:30. I've looked at the time and realised I'm getting on towards 12 o'clock, and then I've kind of rushed to get downstairs to do the banking prior to opening. We generally just have a glance out the window to make sure there's no one obvious standing around. We weren't necessarily looking for parked cars at the time because people do use our car park in the daytime to park up, usually for business at a school or sometimes to use the shop opposite the pub. I was carrying approximately £2,500 on that morning. I got across the car park, I put my key in the door and I just sat down in the driver's seat. I was about to shut the driver's door when the passenger door opened and this guy jumped in. And my first instinct was someone was trying to rob my car. This person proceeded to then start hitting me in the face. I thought he must have had some rings or something because I remember after being hit the first time, I remember feeling blood coming down from over my eye. Someone else kind of pushed the driver's door open and started hitting me as well.
I was very scared. The first thing I saw was some figures running across the car park. I just realised the best thing that I could do was to get help here as quickly as possible.
They started shouting, "Give us the money." I don't know quite how I managed it, but I managed to push the door, or I can't quite remember what I hit, but I hit something solid and pushed it. The punches from the right stopped coming, so I took my opportunity to just dive out the car and start running back towards the pub. And my first instinct was relief because I thought I'd made it. I thought I'd gotten away.
The robbers weren't finished with Jonathan yet. Indeed, what they did next nearly killed him.
And later, I'll be live with Jonathan, who thankfully lives to tell his amazing story.
Now, take a look at this lot. They are all wanted by police in the northwest of England. Are they hiding near you? What about 23-year-old Sean de Valder? He is wanted by police for conspiracy to commit robbery against vehicles carrying cash for ATM machines. There's a £5,000 reward for information leading to his arrest and conviction. So if you have any information at all, get dialing. Case number 6 is Stephen de Valder. He's the 26-year-old brother of Sean de Valder, and Lancashire police want to speak to him about some crimes too. So if you've seen the brothers, do call. Case number 7, police are searching for this man, Stephen Reeves. Reeves was recalled to prison last summer to finish his original sentence for theft, but hasn't been seen since. We know he has a 3-inch scar on his left arm. If you know where he is, call us this morning. And number 8, that is Warren Lee. He's 22 and police would like to speak to him about the theft of a car in Farnworth in Bolton. The car was stolen in December last year. We've had a really big response all week on our faces, so please do keep your calls coming. Now, the BBC's correspondent for the northwest of England is Dave Guest, and he is on the case of some stolen paintings. There's a £70,000 reward for their recovery, isn't there, Dave?
That's right, Sophie. There is indeed now. The Aird family home is in a particularly quiet corner of Cheshire, but it was far from quiet here when this became the scene of a violent robbery.
I could feel the knife sticking into my back. I felt like totally hopeless. I wanted to help them both so much. I didn't really care about my own life.
Just the big ones, yeah? Just get the big ones, yeah? Move it. Come on, get it off. Get it off. Come on, let's go.
Well, the Lowrys are back on the walls here, but sadly, they're only replicas like this one here. The real one worth a fortune. Ivan, I mean, just tell us about this picture.
This painting was painted in 1967 by Ellis Lowry. It's called Tanker Entering the Time. It's one of the Lowry's paintings where he painted for himself to keep. And after his death, I ended up buying it.
Of course, your family have connections with Lowry, don't they?
That's
you
correct.
actually knew him as a family friend.
Yeah, I used to meet him most Saturdays, and he used to come to my mother and father's home when I was a little boy. until he died. My father used to buy most of the originals in the day, in the 1970s and 60s.
Now, of course, you have the original of this one. Just
Yes,
tell us about that.
This was called the Viaduct, and it was painted in 1957. It was owned by the actor Sir Alec Guinness, and this was one of the ones I've stolen as well.
Again, of course, this is a replica because the real ones are still missing.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Now, in total, the haul they got here was about 14 paintings worth £1.7 million, but it's not just the money, really, that's important, is it, Louise?
Not at all, no. It's family heirlooms. We thought we'd have these forever, thought they were going to be around. You know, you just take these things for granted.
And, of course, your home violated during this robbery.
Yeah, and it's... you just don't expect anything like that had ever happen.
OK, thanks very much indeed. Well, one person who was involved in the robbery has now been sent to jail, but the paintings are still missing, a £70,000 reward. But it wasn't just paintings, was it, Chris Barnes?
No, Dave. It's, along with other artefacts, Lowry's palette and brushes were stolen.
This, again, a replica. The real one, of course, totally irreplaceable. Who is going to want to buy these stolen paintings? They're very, very well known.
The thieves knew what they were coming for. They knew that the Lowry paintings were here, and it was set up, I feel, by somebody.
By some kind of Mr. Big.
That's correct.
So now, with all this publicity, is it possible the thieves have actually destroyed the paintings?
No, I think they're still out there. I think they'll have kept them, waiting for the case to go away, and then try and sell them.
OK, thanks very much indeed, Chris Barnes. So the painting's probably still out there, a £70,000 reward. If you know where they are, please give us a call.
Dave, thank you very much. And if you can help, please do call. The numbers are on the screen now. Now, let's go back to the Golden Lion pub in Swinton in Greater Manchester and that terrifying attack on a pub landlord. Back in January at the Golden Lion pub in Swinton, and a silver car pulls up in the car park. 2 hours later, and pub landlord Jonathan is off to bank the takings. As he gets into the car, Jonathan is set on by 3 masked men.
I just realised the best thing that I could do was to get help here as quickly as possible. I pressed the alarm and then I went to the phone to ring the police.
I managed to push the door, or I can't quite remember what I hit, but I hit something solid and pushed it. So I took my opportunity to just dive out the car and start running back towards the pub. And the first thing I came aware of was a car engine starting, and my first instinct was relief because I thought I'd made it. I thought I'd gotten away. And it wasn't until I heard the kind of roar of the engine behind me I became aware of it bearing down on me. I wasn't actually aware of it coming straight at me until I was hit. And my foot was dragged underneath the front of the car, and the rest of me was dragged over the back of the bonnet. And I was just thrown forward off the car. My first conscious awareness that my leg was broken, other than trying to stand up, was when one of them kicked. I think one of them must have kicked my leg, and with it being the way it was that nearly took me out cold as well. I was screaming, but 3 people came over and continued to assault me by kicking me in the ribs, jumping on my chest, kicking me and punching me in the face, until the point where one of the lads actually went to stamp on my head. His foot was coming down towards my nose until I actually managed to get my hand out of the way and block it, and it stomped in the forehead, and that's what left this big imprint in my head.
The shoe print on Jonathan's face is a vital clue.
I'd fully expected Jonathan to come back in through the door, looking maybe a bit beaten up, but and it all be over, and he didn't. Then the staff came in and told me that he was on the floor and he was injured, and I don't know what went through my mind. I just panicked. And I actually threw the phone onto the floor and ran outside.
But then came help from an unlikely source.
I firmly believe if the 2 dinner ladies from the school hadn't have intervened, this would have continued until I was either unconscious or dead, whichever came first. So to them I do have a big thank you to say. After the attack had finished, my only instinct was to stay awake until help came, and my staff finally managed to get out of the building and came to make sure I was okay.
It really is unbelievable. Well, RAF police are now treating this as attempted murder, aren't they?
They are, Sophie, yes, because it is so serious what they did to poor Jonathan. But he is here with us now, live, thankfully on his feet. Jonathan, how are you feeling now?
I'm feeling better than I was a few months ago, obviously. It's been a long road to recovery, and fortunately I've still got quite a few months left to go till I make a full recovery, but it's slow but steady and I'll get there.
You're getting there. Well, it's good to see that you are slowly getting there, and you're thinking about moving, aren't you?
Yeah, Josie felt I've offered my wife and I an opportunity to make a fresh start in a new pub, which, although that's not the main reason for the move, I'll be glad of the opportunity to have a fresh challenge and
move on.
have a kind of
New
less...
start. Well, if you could say anything to those two dinner ladies, the remarkable women we saw in the footage there, what would you say to them?
Well, them two ladies I firmly believe I owe my life to, and if it wasn't for them, I don't think I would be here now.
Well, thankfully, Jonathan, you are here, and it's good to see you. Now, leading the investigation is DS Julie Connor. Julie, good morning.
Morning.
You've got a few leads, haven't you?
Yes, we have the car back that was used by the offenders. We found that nearby. We can forensically examine that car.
Now, you've located that car, and you think that these offenders are likely to be local?
Yes, I do. The car was stolen from the local area. It was used in the local area and then abandoned in the local area as well.
Now, this footprint that we saw on Jonathan there, amazing footage there, that's actually a crucial lead.
It is. We know it's a Converse All-Star, and we want the names of the offenders so that we can link that footwear to the offenders.
OK. Now, we think that these people could have bragged about this, so you definitely want to hear from them.
Yeah, definitely. They will have been hyper after this happened. It's a really serious crime, and they will have talked about it to somebody.
OK, well, thank you. Thank you both for joining us. I'm so pleased to see you back up on your feet. If you can help, you've seen what it's done to Jonathan, please do get on the phone and give us a call and tell us what you know.
Rav, thank you. Well, if you can help us, the numbers are on the screen now, or you can also call Greater Manchester Police 0161 872 5050, or if you would like to remain anonymous, please call the independent charity Crime Stoppers. Let me give you their number. It is 0800 555 111. Now, some update on the stories we've been showing today. That riding school in Bolton, some really interesting information. We have one call who has given us a name and address for someone who could have been behind this theft, and also another caller who says that they think they saw specialist riding equipment, the sort of thing that went missing from those stables, at a car boot sale in Cornwall. We will, of course, be following all that up, and thank you so much for all the generous offers to help the riding school get some equipment back. Now, Rav, what have you got on tomorrow's show?
Well, I'll be with you in the studio. There's bank holiday terror as gunmen stroll into a pub in Salford. They said the shots were a warning, but what were they for?
And for some reason, I knew it was a gun had been shot.
More on that story on tomorrow's Crimewatch Roadshow. Do join us, but keep calling all day today. The lines are open. See you tomorrow, 9:15. Bye-bye.